Whoa, what is this? What is this? Is this your background? What do you got? What do you got here?
Oh.
What are we looking at?
So I changed it up for each one to match the theme of whatever episode we're messing with.
Yo, we live in Banjo's house.
We
Let's
live in the
go.
house.
Party at Banjo's.
It
Yo,
seemed appropriate.
Who gets the sofa? Who gets the
I'm gonna
single seat?
Dibs on the shag rug.
I'm gonna sleep
Yeah.
in Banjo's bed with him.
I feel like he would set his feet on fire if he sat in that.
Oh,
Actually-
yeah, maybe don't.
You know what? Hang on. I think this was the picture that looked really bad until I put a bunch of filters on it. Let me turn them off. Oh yeah, it looked overexposed, so I had to like go in and fix it. So yeah. Anyway,
I'm overexposed. I live in a perpetual state of overexposure.
Oh man.
The life of a content creator. Am I right, friends? Am I right, gamers? Up top.
Yeah.
Up top, #1 victory royale. Let me hear it. That's the gamer word apparently. Well, gamer phrase.
I love it.
Wait, we're gamers?
What
that
is
what we
a
do?
gamer?
Is that what we game?
What is a game? What is a gamer? Is the question.
What even is that?
A
I don't
noun.
know. I asked
One
that,
who
I asked
games.
that on. I posted a picture on Twitter of me like sitting on a rock with like, and it was like it was just super like hazy. There was
I'm
a
a gamer.
sunset behind me, and it just said, "What is a gamer?" And people really were confused.
Gamer,
They really had to like think about it. It is an existential question. What is a gamer? And if you're a gamer, is that all you're defined by? Are you only defined by the quality or quantity at which you game?
Yes.
Or is the gamer the observer, the one watching from behind the scenes?
Wow.
Or is the game
Wow.
or is the gaming happening in front of the observer, the one who games, separated from the one who observes?
This is interesting. And what if
Beast
gamer
boss,
is like
Michael here? What is a gamer?
Yeah, what if it's a descriptor? What if you have game, gamer, and gamist? Who falls into what category?
Well, I'm the gamist. I mean, that's I call it. I call it.
I'm not game enough for this. I'm not game enough for this.
I'm gamer than all of you, than everybody. So I know it goes without saying, but I figured I would just come out in front and just so there's no question, gamist.
Let me just
Gamist.
write
Welcome
that
to
down real
Gamist.
quick so I don't forget.
Welcome to the Gamist podcast. Sorry for renaming the whole thing for you.
I mean, I only got like $50 in the branding, so it's fine. We can do whatever.
Hell yeah! I have to move my monitor really quick.
Half game? Yes, half game. What's happening?
I don't know. We get to see his wall. Oh, nope, it's gone now.
Oh,
It's my rock wall. Don't steal
Jules,
it. It's
Jules,
copyrighted.
you keeping secrets?
Yeah.
Are you keeping secrets from us?
Well, so I have a card reader on the side of my monitor. Like my monitor has one of those like SD card readers that I had to switch out for my camera because I literally just got done filming. And for some reason, it is the fastest transfer speed out of anything I own. My monitor SD card reader. I have a
Wow.
dedicated SD card reader. I have I could plug in a cable to my camera, but the side monitor SD card reader, fastest one.
Wow.
That is unusual.
It
It
is very
is.
unusual.
Huh.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Okay.
food for thought. Really makes you think.
Yeah. So hi, welcome to Retroactivity, where we don't have good intros that are planned out. We just kind of go with it and see what happens. And what just happened is better than anything I could have written, so that's
The
good.
difference between a good intro and a bad intro is nothing. You just say it was a good intro.
Fair. I wonder if I tell
anything
people
can
my
be good if
content
you
is
just-
good, that it'll just
That's
make
what
Yeah,
I do.
that's what I'm saying. You could just
That's what I do. When people say like, that's all I do. I just say like, hello, welcome. You're watching the best stream ever.
I'm a Twitch streamer. Are you good? Yeah, duh.
Yeah,
Obviously.
duh.
That's what I've
Do
been
people
doing wrong
ask
all
you that
these
often?
years.
That's a really fucked up question. Like, hey, what
Like,
do you
how
do?
dare you?
Actually, now that I
Cut
think
my
about it, like,
hair. Keep cutting.
You know that that's a thing. You know, if you tell somebody you're like, yeah, I'm a YouTuber, they want to be like, oh, are you good at that? Like, like, oh, I don't know. Are you good at cutting hair? Like, what are we talking about? No, I just,
I had
do it off to the side. When
I
you
had-
asked
I
me
had
what
a
I do for a
hairdresser-
living, I was just, oh, you mean this hobby? Yeah, I drink coffee. Just some hobby I have. Are you
A
good at
hairdresser one
that?
time wanted me to give her YouTube advice because she wanted to start a YouTube channel. I was like, I don't know, I can't. I'm not good
Play
at
Banjo
it.
Kazooie.
And now back then I should have said, no, I'm amazing. Let's go.
Yeah, you just said play Banjo Kazooie. It's a weird game,
Yeah.
but trust me, people love it.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
really,
there you go.
really helps if you're a cute anime dog and you go ekum bokum and then let it all fly. Let it all fly.
The winning formula.
Yeah.
I mean,
good.
it's-
There, you like that for a segue? I segued.
It was beautiful. Speaking of banjo, yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of banjo, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Banjo Kazooie, not just well, like 95% of those are going to be Banjo Kazooie. Exactly. It's going to be mainly Banjo Kazooie because that's the better game. But we'll touch on the others just real quick as we go, just for consistency's sake. But the way that I like to start these is kind of weird. If you had to pick your favorite Banjo game, we'll start with you, Jules. Which of the Banjo games, like the main series for that, I guess we'll say Banjo Kazooie, Tooie, and Nuts and Bolts.
I really don't like any of them.
Please tell
You
me.
know,
why.
Get out.
Okay, I mean, I was.
Leave now.
I can leave. No,
Forever hold your peace.
I mean, so I really gotta say Banjo Kazooie, and I'm sure we'll go into reasons as to why everybody likes Banjo Kazooie and nobody likes Tooie, but literally zero people.
I like
See,
Tooie.
exactly.
I'm kidding. A lot of people like Tooie. A lot of people like.
love Tooie.
I think there's a lot to say about Banjo Tooie, like a lot. But I think as a package, as a whole, like if we're gonna like give an overall scorecard, and we're like rating it on like as objective as we can be, because I mean we all have nostalgia glasses. Obviously, the game's like 45 years old, so like I would say Banjo Kazooie is at least a little bit better, right? Can we say that?
Yeah. I would.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'll agree.
Yeah, ukulele. That's my favorite banjo game.
We'll get to that.
I don't mind ukulele, but
I have one glaring design
It
flaw in
missed the mark.
ukulele, but I will get there. But for now, we're going to talk about the very first banjo game. You know, the one that everybody likes, everybody's favorite.
And nobody hates.
I don't know.
Right,
Nuts and Bolts
exactly.
is my favorite.
No, we're
be
talking
honest.
about Banjo's first game, and that's
I want to build cars, dude.
And that's Diddy Kong
it's
Racing.
Diddy Kong Racing. You're exactly right.
It is Diddy Kong Racing.
Diddy Kong
I know
Racing's
it is.
amazing, dude.
Yeah, Diddy Kong Racing's great.
Dude, Diddy Kong
Call it
Racing
Banjo Kong Racing.
was the first game I ever played in my entire life. It was the very first game I ever streamed.
Good.
So it is super special to me. But we're not here to talk about Diddy Kong Racing, but I had to at least mention it once because it's the rules.
That is where our hero starts.
Yep.
Kazooie
Yep.
was not in that though, however. It was just
No.
banjo.
Oh,
which makes-
Banjo.
Which makes a very interesting like timeline happen where like who was Banjo before Banjo was with Kazooie?
Right.
And we know that. It's Diddy Kong Racing. So why is he driving without Kazooie? Like, why is he racing without Kazooie? He does everything else with Kazooie.
It's true.
Do we know for a fact that Banjo and Kazooie have been together their entire lives?
Well, they haven't. We know for a fact that they haven't because Diddy Kong Racing exists.
Right.
Well, I mean, what if, like, I don't know, Kazooie went on vacation to, I don't know, lay eggs like a normal bird? And Banjo was like, yeah, I'm just going to go race with my friends for a bit, bye. Or maybe
Or maybe.
it was
What
before they
happened
met.
between Diddy Kong Racing and Banjo Kazooie?
Right, exactly.
Or maybe Banjo and Kazooie had a spicy divorce.
I want to see the paperwork on that.
Diddy Kong Racing happens in the future.
Oh my god.
Ooh. I like this
Oh
lore.
my god.
I like
Yeah,
it.
where's the Diddy Kong timeline? I want. You thought the Zelda timeline was a mess.
Oof.
Get the popcorn out, friends.
The Banjo Kazooie Historia. Let's go.
But that's just a theory. Are they canonically friends? Well, we don't know. There is no canon. That's what I'm saying. There's not. I feel like there isn't even like a headcanon. I feel like I'm probably the first person to ask that question. Why isn't Kazooie with Banjo in Diddy Kong Racing?
Mm-hmm.
I hate how right you
Yeah.
are. I've never
No,
thought
you're
about
right.
this before. My whole life is a lie.
These things keep me up at night. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm literally like that the meme where it's just like the girl is just like he's thinking about other women and then it's like where's Kazooie in Diddy Kong Racing?
That's perfect. It really is going to keep me up tonight, though. Thanks for that. So now that I got my prerequisite Diddy Kong Racing mention in there, I guess the first thing I want to talk about is, since there's a poll in chat of which Banjo is better, I guess a comparison between Kazooie and Tooie would be a good place to start, and why Kazooie is the better game.
I voted for Nuts and Bolts.
Yeah.
So just want to let you know.
Okay, now you did. There was literally 0 for Nuts and Bolts.
Yeah, no. Well, I just did just now.
That's Josh.
As I was saying.
everybody.
I hate how split this is. Thanks.
Yeah, well, we kind of poisoned the well, didn't we? We brought all of the Tooie fanatics out, whereas the Kazooie fans are just like, well, we know. So
Listen, here's the
entire-
thing about Banjo Kazooie and Banjo Tooie. Banjo Tooie is a fantastically huge game.
Correct.
Like that's the thing. It's massive.
correct.
And if you're not into that, then that's fine. But
Correct.
it's just more of the same, really.
Okay, I just need to point out that Elias
Right?
cheated. He cheated.
He did cheat.
He cheated.
Elias.
Okay.
He gave
So
money
yeah,
to swing
like
the
I
vote
would
in
love
his
to
favor.
dive into this. I would love to agree and rebut Josh Jepson.
Okay.
Yeah. So I
Rebut
do
me.
agree. Banjo. Once quarantine's over, baby. No. Banjo Tooie is a lot. It is bigger, and there is a lot. I wouldn't say it's a lot of the same, because when you look at like Glitter Gulch and stuff like that, there is so much more like color and depth in that level than any level in Banjo Kazooie. Like you get
That's true.
pretty much like you get a lot more depth for each level. Yet I do have the same concern a lot of other people have, where I feel there. Kazooie felt like anywhere you go, there is something interesting there, pretty much. Like there is something to find in almost every nook and every cranny of Banjo Kazooie. Tooie did not have that. Tooie had a lot of dead ends, a lot of empty corners, a lot of places where you're like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. I think it was a lot easier to kind of feel that you're. Kazooie felt, as a casual player, that I think it was very easy to be like, well, I haven't gone over there, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do over here, but I could still go over there and still feel like I'm doing something. Tooie kind of still felt, while playing casually, that like, I don't know how to use this like mumbo totem thing. I'm going to go over here. Okay, there's nothing over here. It kind of made, comparatively to Kazooie, it feel like it wasn't finished. It felt like Tooie wasn't finished for how much like the scope that they had for it, if that makes sense.
Right. No, I get you. Yeah.
Like the
I
levels
mean,
were bigger than they needed to be.
It was
didn't
big.
fill
It
'em
was a
up.
bigger
Yeah.
bigger of a game than they could do. I mean, at that point, that was the max they could put out on the N64. You know, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was the best that was the best they could do at that point. It was pretty late in the life cycle, so
Yeah.
you know, had we seen our GameCube Banjo 3 happen, then maybe we would have seen their vision unfold.
Maybe.
And something about Tooie that, and Kazooie's my favorite, and Tooie and I do not get along. But there's one thing that Tooie does that I actually really, really like, and that's the worlds having interconnectivity with each other.
Yes, that is very cool.
I love that, being able to go from one world to another through an entrance here or a secret hole here or something, and the whole world feels connected. Now in Kazooie, it's a little different. They're all connected to a main hub, which is cool, but the levels themselves aren't connected. And
Yeah.
but I do
So
like that a lot.
I think, yeah, there are some situations in which that works and others that don't. One situation that I feel like that works very well, outside of that I think also did this was Tony Hawk's American Wasteland had a system of being able to kind of like intertwine all of these different levels that were all like hid the loading screens within the little like travel sections in the middle of them. So they kind of did that. I'm trying to think of an example that didn't work, but I was kind of reminded of that because you also have the difference between Mario games, right? Where like Mario 64 definitely had the hub area, Peach's Castle is like you go to each one from there, and then once you move into like yeah, I guess they never really left that formula until Bowser's Fury, because Bowser's Fury is more of like there are multiple worlds but it's all interconnected,
right? Yeah.
So I almost wonder if Banjo Kazooie was the first one to kind of take that. Definitely not the first one to try that out, like an open world, like because you can argue like Grand Theft Auto, it's a big world and there's different places in the middle of each one, but like I think it's in a collectathon in that format. Maybe Tui was the first one on that scale to try that, and maybe that's almost why it was harder for them to kind of fill everything out. I don't know. Yeah, that's
a fair point. Yeah. When you were talking about the levels being connected in American Wasteland, it kind of reminded me of Jak and Daxter, the first one. That game had absolutely no loading zone, and as you went from area to area, they were like hidden, and you never hit a loading zone the entire game. And I always thought that was really impressive.
It's weird because like I feel like I saw more loading zones in Jak 2.
Yeah, you notice it more.
Yeah, the doors,
like
the
elevators and stuff.
Yeah, the elevators, the airlocks. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like they didn't hide it as well in Jak 2, but yeah, Jak actually, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think it really, really works in that situation. I'm trying to think of a where that I'm trying to think of a situation in which taking the idea of a hub world going to levels doesn't work better than just having all the worlds interconnected. Like a game where that doesn't work. Because maybe that is the way to go. Maybe Banjo-Tooie was on the right track, but it just... Because, like, I feel like, if anything, maybe Tooie was the weakest example of that.
But almost like a pioneer in the field, so to speak.
Well, I mean, the Nintendo 64 as a whole was a pioneer in the field, Like,
true.
I've always had the Nintendo 64... my buddy Lyle describes it as the acne-ridden adolescent phase of gaming, where once we made those scary bodily changes to 3D, like there was a lot of weird stuff going on, but eventually everything kind of normalized. But there was some weird stuff that happened during that phase. We learned a lot about ourselves. Hair grew in places that we didn't know we had. We broke boundaries that we didn't know existed. And we saw sunflowers in a different light.
It's the best analogy I've ever heard.
I love that analogy because it also kind of explains the jumps that were made in games like Banjo-Kazooie and even in the pre-development, because Banjo-Kazooie was originally called Dream.
Right.
And what that game was completely different from what Banjo-Kazooie ended up being. In a lot of ways, and I say this, I'm pretty sure, I'm probably paraphrasing facetiously, but they saw Mario 64 and said, screw this game, let's make that game instead. And then they made Banjo-Kazooie. I'm pretty sure they even agreed that that's kind of how it went down. But yeah, I mean, I think that was important for a lot of developers because, like, with everything being so experimental, with budgets and with everything, like, it was scary, Like, nobody knew if the games were going to make any money because... Why would they? They're all experimental. Yeah. There's no data.
Also new. They had no idea what was going to happen.
Right.
So it's like, here's this new toy. Go try it out and see what happens.
That's interesting to think about. And something that you mentioned earlier, Jules, about how in Tui, we have these worlds that are massive, and there's a lot of dead ends, a lot of spots with nothing in them, made it feel kind of unfinished. It basically was. I'm sure you know this, but the final level of the game was unfinished and cut. I'm trying to think of what it was called.
As a speedrunner, I can say that about every single fucking... every last level is not finished. tick-tock clock, click-clock wood, those levers are not done. And you can tell by the boundaries how things work. Those were the last ones to ship off. I guarantee you. Well, like Rainbow Ride, like come on.
Yeah, Rainbow Ride
but,
always
I mean, they're
struck
great
me
levels.
as like one of the
They're awesome.
weirdest like you could tell like
Yeah, and both TikTok Clock and Rainbow Ride reused a song from previously in the game. Like you can tell it was like, oh God, when did you tell us we had to make this level, Miyamoto? Like, and then they're like, oh, we have 3 hours. TikTok Clock, there you go. But like it was still good, and like that's the thing with like all of those games. I think it's fair to say, but yeah, I mean, especially with the scale of Tui, yeah, I'm sure it was like, oops, I don't know.
Yeah, Cauldron Keep was the name. Chat reminded me of that. Yeah, that whole place was missing. But I think one of my biggest issues with Tui, honestly, that compared to Kazooie, and when you're playing Banjo Kazooie, you do a thing and you get a jiggy. Almost every time you get a jiggy, you're doing one thing, and boom, you got it. But in Tui, you spend an hour doing 80 things and you get one jiggy for it. Every jiggy feels like this massive ordeal. And I think it breaks the pace of what you expect from a Banjo game up to that point. At least it did for me.
That kind of shows too where a lot of the issues Rare has had with not just these, but with Ukulele and stuff like that, where it's just like their biggest enemy has been the expectation fans have had. Because that's what they have always broken. Like Nuts and Bolts, great game, but did poorly because it wasn't what people wanted out of a Banjo Kazooie game. You know. Like Josh, you're the one who knows.
Nuts and Bolts,
knows, but yeah,
Nuts and Bolts could have stood on its own if it wasn't like the problem with Nuts and Bolts is that it had so many really really fantastic ideas that just weren't quite executed well enough for people to like be okay with the changes, and so it was just that much worse for the reception of the game because everybody had this expectation when they showed that first trailer that looked kind of like it was going to be a collectathon thing. And then when they showed the second trailer that was like, oh, this is what Nuts and Bolts actually is. And it's like all these cars and like, nobody knows what's going on. Like the reception of that could have been so much better if the game came out and like the challenges weren't janky and like, cause like the actual car building is fun and it actually fits in with the world. I feel like they did a good job of like fleshing it out. But yeah, no, I can see why people like their expectations were shattered.
Yeah. You know, it's funny with Nuts and Bolts. A lot of people ask me if I like Nuts and Bolts, and I feel like for me the best way to explain it is what I call the 13 conundrum. Final Fantasy 13 is mostly universally hated, and it's because it's a bad Final Fantasy game, but it's not a bad game. I think if they had given it a different name, like, I don't know, Lightning and the Crystal something, I don't know, it would have sold better, it would have done better, because it would have been like, hey, Squeenix is doing something new, let's go check that out. But instead, people were like, we expect Final Fantasy, and they didn't get that. And I think that's the exact same thing with Nuts and Bolts. People expected Banjo 3E, and they got something completely different, and so they didn't like it because of that. I think Nuts and Bolts would have done significantly better if it didn't have Banjo in it.
So here's a question. Kind of going back to Jack and Daxter. Like, so did you play Jack X?
I actually played it for the first time about a year ago.
How did that game do? I actually like. I'm not being like. I'm not trying to make like a rhetorical point or some weird shit. Like I don't. Did people like that game?
I'm not sure how it sold, but as far as the gameplay itself goes, it was much more solid than I anticipated.
Me too. So I feel like that's almost like a counter argument to the whole like, because like nobody, literally 0 people asked for a Jack racing game. Like nobody wanted that, but it was okay. It was fine. So why is it that Nuts and Bolts, being a great racing game where you build the cars and it has all of this stuff, is it just the people who are stupid?
The length of time between the last Banjo game and the new Banjo game.
That's a good argument.
So much longer than between Jack 3 and Jack X.
That is a very, very good argument. Yeah. So like I feel like, well, Jack 3 had a very kind of like, okay, the story's done kind of a feel when you were done with it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think everything after that was kind of just like a okay, especially if it came out right after. It's like
Meanwhile, Banjo Tooie is like, yeah, I'll see you in Banjo 3.
yeah, we are in 2021. Still haven't seen that one.
Yep.
Okay, Grunty.
You know, I actually do have a counter argument for the Jack X thing, though. In Jack 2, there's 3 missions, or 3 or 4 missions, where you actually race on a racetrack.
True.
So that was kind of embedded there, and you have that jet board, which helps you get around a little bit faster. And in Jack 3, when you're out in the desert, you have this giant selection of cars that do different things and such. So I feel like people are a little more receptive to the racing concept, but I'll also say I don't think it sold nearly as well as Jack's 1 through 3.
Oh yeah, definitely. I just checked. It was about 75% critic score, so just average.
Meanwhile, Banjo was in Diddy Kong Racing, so he was already in cars at the beginning.
Touche.
And where was Kazooie?
What the heck?
I think we need to answer this question. What happened?
What happened to Kazooie?
What happened?
Where did Kazooie come from?
The Kazooie conundrum.
We need to have the prequel to Banjo Kazooie now.
I need this. I need this in my life.
Why do they live together? Do they love each other? Can love bloom on the battlefield?
No.
Can love bloom in Grintilda's lair?
I feel like Del Cake just woke up in a cold sweat.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I live with Del, so my entire life is you must be Ames. I love.
I just picture you walking down the hallway and Del like opens up the room to his bedroom and you just hear Snake Eater playing at full volume, and then when he closes the door, it's nothing again, and then when he goes back in, same thing.
He goes, like, Otacon, it seems like Jules has ordered Taco Bell yet again. The 14th day in a row. What do I do?
Oh, that's so good.
How do I tell him his arteries are going to close up?
The best is yet to come.
The best is yet to come.
Oh, no. So this is completely random. I just want to say it. One of the parts you can stick on a car in nuts and bolts is the little like spiky ball that comes off, and you can like grab stuff with it and fly around with it. It's like my favorite thing, to just grab a hold of people and drop them in the ocean. Just want to throw that out there.
Hell yeah.
Sticky ball.
Yep.
The sticky ball.
Sticky ball is fun.
I need to give nuts and bolts like a hearty try. You know what I mean? Like I from what I've seen, like mostly like what I've seen of nuts and bolts is like you playing it, Josh. Like I remember lurking and watching you play nuts and bolts and enjoying it, like and being like, I would love this game, but like I need to like,
it's
you know what I mean?
so
like,
wacky.
Yeah, and I love that, and
like
I
a
wanna,
great way. That's why I still feel like it retains a lot of that Banjo feel when you're playing it. Like there's all these little tiny references, and if you can like let go of the fact that like the whole game is just your childhood like chopped up and like tossed into a salad, if you can get past that, like it's great.
Yeah, it's just really easily just let go. Let go of that child that you've just been trying to reawaken for the past like 15 years by playing all these nostalgic games. Like, I can't feel any happiness anymore. Maybe it's Banjo Kazooie that'll bring me happiness. Nope, that didn't do it.
I feel so called out.
What do we do? But yeah, like I mean that's the thing too, is like, so I talked about this in a recent stream where so when you're this will wrap around. When you're a teenager and you're looking up at idols, like people that you look up to, you know, this might be like a rock star or a streamer or whatever. The actual amount of oxytocin that releases in your brain is very similar, and like the parts of your brain light up in the same way that an adult will when they snort cocaine. And it sounds ridiculous, right? I would go so far as to believe that the same thing happens for kids who are, you know, experiencing these insane dopamine hitting like things, you know, and this whole like chasing the dragon thing that really sounds like a heroin addict trying to get heroin again is really similar to the kind of stuff that we who really enjoyed our childhood playing games did. And the reason for it is because when you're an adolescent, you're really trying to figure out your identity. You know, Eric Erickson talks about identity you know, finding your own identity through means of like almost like, you know, copy pastaing, you know, somebody else's personality and putting it onto you. Very natural thing for teenagers to do. And that's why it also affects the brain the same way. Like the way that you look at rock stars or these streamers, like once you're like 25, it just doesn't hit the same way. Like it could still be great, but it's the same thing with video games, and it's the same thing that we do with you know, this nostalgia, these rose-colored glasses and stuff. So that's the other thing that's thrown into the mix when you have a game like Nuts and Bolts, where it's just like not only like it's when you play Ocarina of Time for the first time after like 15 years, you're like, Hyrule Field is a room. It's it's just like it's not that big, but you remember it being like Lord of the Rings size, you know. So you're also fighting that. So that's why I think it's so interesting that like then it's your your favorite thing from childhood chopped up, put into a salad, you know, put puree, and then be like, here's that happiness that you've been missing, and then you're like, what is this?
You know, and I think this is the most interesting aspect of this. When I first saw Nuts and Bolts as a huge, massive Banjo fan, there was no disappointment there. I was actually really excited for it. Like legitimately super excited to try something different with my favorite game characters.
Yeah.
And I just didn't follow all that hate. I didn't at all. To this day, I still don't, and I never will, because it's got some really, really good merits for sure.
Josh, I think like I don't know, you're probably like this too, Jacob, but like you and me, Josh, are very similar in that I think you and I give things way more of a chance than most other people do. Where like I'm always like floored at the visceral like how much people abhor these games that just like come out that like it's just like such a slight on their existence that, oh my god, Brilliant Diamond looks like my Sims. Ugh. Oh, and then they're fall on the ground.
I mean,
and die. It's like
valid complaint.
I don't think so. We're not talking about that. We're talking about that. But like, you know, I think it's hard, especially in a time of like social media where it's like it's engaged with more to hate something, and it's almost like your opinion is a lot more interesting if you have points to work against like the big general like, I like it. It's a video game. I like a video game, you know? But then if you're like the one who's like, no, Banjo Kazooie is dumb because he's a bear, and bears don't go, you know, like whatever it is that you have against Banjo Kazooie, like, I feel like that's like what almost twists people into being more hateful and actually not giving these games. Because like imagine a world where like more people were open to Nuts and Bolts, and Nuts and Bolts got the recognition it deserves. It might have opened up Nuts and Bolts 2. Like that would have been sick, you know?
That would have been amazing. Like take that concept and just build on it and make it better and better, and like let's go with it. And you know, like come together as a people and make a thing. Make it, but you know. Yeah, we all collectively hated on it.
I hate it. It kills me, man. It kills me when people just like destroy a game because it'd be more fun to tweet about it that way. That's what it feels like.
To be fair, I will say this though: when Nuts and Bolts first launched, it was plagued with like a lot of actual real technical problems, like low frame rate and weird shadow issues and all kinds of stuff.
As if Kazooie doesn't have those things, but yeah, go on.
Right. But when they released the Rare Replay version, all that stuff is fixed and that game runs great. So go play it now. It's better to play it now than it ever has been. So
there you go.
You know, the tiny font. That's right too. They changed the font size too, because the font at the beginning it was way too tiny and nobody could read it on their HD TVs. Apparently.
You know, something I couldn't help but think about. You know, talk about people not giving games a chance and just dropping them really, really quickly. All I can think about is Steam's return policy, where you have like 2 hours to return a game. And to me, that's not long enough to really give a game a chance. But if you're trying to save your money or be stingy, you're like, well, it didn't hook me in the first 10 minutes. I'm going to get my money back so I can try another game. And you just go through game after game after game, not liking them because you don't give the game a chance to get good.
Yeah.
You don't expect a story to grip you. Like if you're reading a book, you don't expect the first chapter to just completely engross you. There's got to be some world building,
Right. Yeah. There's something different between like having a really strong start and then having it slowly build, and between that and like just having it slowly build from the beginning, and then maybe it's great later on, but you'll never know because you didn't give it a chance.
Yep.
Well, I mean, that's always the thing too. Like everyone's favorite thing ever in media are the things that probably started slow because you were actually able to like, envelop yourself in that world more so than other things. So that's again another reason why like we don't have school. Like we don't have like elementary school where you have to go and do like finger painting or whatever the hell you do in elementary school. Like, but I don't like I want to like when I'm home that like I have a limited amount of home time. I have a limited amount of video game time, especially because my mom's gonna be like, "Get off the fucking N64! You've been on it for whatever how many hours." It's so much more precious time. Whereas like now we have more time, at least us as adults. I mean, I don't know how many 12-year-olds are in the chat right now, but like, I think if it was my chat, it'd be all of them. So that's why I like to preface they'd all be 12-year-olds. But the idea is that like our time is, I don't want to say less precious. It's almost more precious. But our time to play games was more precious before, and we were more likely to give those games that chance in the beginning and actually like
right.
Like imagine like I actually watched a close dear friend of mine try to play Ocarina of Time for the first time. And he was so frustrated because they do not tell you where that sword is.
That's true. They don't.
They don't tell you where that is. And you know that when you were a kid, you like scoured every inch of that forest because not only did you have time, but it was fun. It was more fun than finger painting,
It was also like one of 2 games that you had that year.
True. Yeah. Yeah, you didn't have a backlog of Steam games that you've been building for the past decade. Like, like it's real. It's super real.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can ban my entire chat eyes. Hey, could you give me a new one? I'm really kind of
need a good refresh on the old chat there.
Yeah, please, dude. Oh man, I want to talk about advanced psychological concepts like we were talking about with the oxytocin and the study with like idols and stuff. But my chat just wants to talk about Blumpkins and dads. I'm over it. Anyway, Banjo Kazooie.
So Banjo Kazooie, yeah. I don't think we can really say more about Banjo Kazooie before we start talking about the fact that it is an insanely popular speedrun. Like,
yes,
it is insanely popular and it is very optimized at this point.
Yes,
very optimized. It is kind of ridiculous how I've seen some speedruns like a GDQ and stuff, and that are like the really top that are just like cutting every single possible corner, and it blows my mind. And I've seen Jules run Banjo many times, and oh god, it's one of those things. It's a bit of a disconnect from when you play it as a kid. You play it casually. You make all these little mistakes. You have fun just exploring. But when you're playing it fast, you don't have time to explore. You don't have time to take anything in. You're just going. And it's, in a way, it kind of reminds me of like randomizers for Ocarina of Time. It's a different way to experience the game. And you're going to get a completely different experience from it compared to just casually playing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's honestly, like I've played a beaten Banjo-Kazooie casually at least 5 times. And 100% of it. There is a point at which with most games that like playing you've wrung that out of the game, like you can't experience that, so you need a new way to play that. And that's why I always tell people, like, please, like if you've ever been interested in speedrunning a game, like I guarantee you have a game that you love and you are so terrified of like, oh, I don't want to hate it, but like you want, like when I play like a game like Banjo-Kazooie or Mario 64, it's not the same as when I speedrun it. It's almost like I might as well put a completely different game into the system when I'm in that mentality of like speedrunning. Like, yeah, if I play it casually, yeah, like if I'm playing it casually, like I know where things are, obviously, but like there's a point at which like I'm not gonna unknow where they are. Like that ship has sailed. So if I want to play it again, the best way to do that is speedrun it. So that's the thing. Is everyone's like, oh well, I don't want to like hate Mario. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, or just never play it again. Which I don't know. Like for me, that's the thing. Like I can't play Mario 64 ever again and not know where things are. So the next challenge of still being able to play that game and capture that enjoyment is speedrunning it for me.
Interesting. And you have like your speed running. Some people prefer to do randomizers of stuff. Some crazy people like to do things like crowd control to change the experience of the game.
Yes, Banjo has a crowd control.
It does. It is very
I
strange.
still have not done. I tried to do it, but I had trouble getting it to work. But
Yeah, I had some trouble getting it to work too, but I did manage to do one. It just like the emulator was just really bad. That was what I found.
yeah,
But yeah,
I'll
no,
have to
it's
pick a
super
brain on
fun
that.
though.
Yeah, I definitely want to try to speedrun it, but with crowd control and see if my chat can stop me.
Do it.
Take a few days probably, but it'd be fun.
It'd be amazing. But it's no, it's the N64 version. So if someone teleports you out of a level, it resets your notes. I bet.
Yes, it does.
Oh,
yes, and it's
no.
awful.
Oh,
They can
that
also
sucks.
there's also ones for like being able to take away your notes, and if they do that, like they don't reappear in the world, so you're just fucked.
You're
just
that
fucked.
sucks so bad.
So don't take
Play
away your
fast.
notes.
Play
Turn that one
fast.
Yeah, play fast. play real fast.
I feel like that's one of those, like they update the randomizers too. Like the Mario 64 randomizer is so like forgiving in that way, where like every at least the randomizer, I guess crowd control could be different, but like for example, in randomizer it could make the coins in literally impossible places to get, and as time has gone on they've been able to like create algorithms to be like, okay, this is a coin that might be hard to get, but it's possible. And I'm sure they would probably have to find that medium ground with like the crowd control for Banjo Kazooie randomizer, where it's just like at a point where it's like, or tell the player like, hey, sorry, the game's not beatable anymore, but you can keep playing if you want.
You can keep playing.
That'd
It's
be
not
nice.
gonna go anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know. Jules, you're a glutton. No, I'm a glutton for money. Like that's, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Like, look, if I have to deal with like, oh no, I can't beat Banjo Kazooie, but $5. I mean, $5. That's a coffee, man. This is what I live off of.
Mood.
Very good coffee too from Starbucks, probably. Yeah. $5. That's $5. No, I mean, but that's kind of the thing. Like, I mean, it would get frustrating for sure, but I think that's again why speedrunning is so fun. Is that, yeah, it's gonna suck when you don't do the thing fast, but like, do it again, and that never goes away. You know what I mean? Like that never goes away. Like what goes away is, I know where all the jiggies are. I know where all the notes are. I'm never not gonna know where all the jiggies and notes in that game are anymore. But I can always go faster.
It's true.
So I can always play that game. And that's why I think speedrunning is so cool. But yeah.
And that hit when you PB is just, it makes it all so worth it. It's just like,
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Sex is great, etc. But have you ever PB'd in Banjo Kazooie?
I mean, you're right. Now, I can't, in good conscience, continue to talk about Banjo without talking about my favorite part of all of it, and that is the music. And Grant Kirkhope, and how amazing he is.
So good.
Who's that?
Who's Grant Kirkhope? Just some dude that likes eggnog. I think he makes music sometimes. Now watch, the one thing he'll ever hear me say about him ever will be that. And not any of the other things I've ever said nice about him, it'll be that.
The eggnog thing.
Yeah, some dude that drinks
Dude.
eggnog.
Don't you worry. Like, so I'm really good friends with Danny Baranowski, and the things that those two say to each other are so horrific. Like, don't you worry, man. They like abuse each other. It's really weird. But yeah, I won't go too far into it. But Danny has taken my phone and then texted Grant things that I'm pretty sure I'm on a list for. But the most important thing to know is don't worry. If the only thing that Grant hears you say is he likes eggnog, he will be happy with that because he does like eggnog quite a lot.
And for me, like I mentioned earlier that my very first video game that I ever played was Diddy Kong Racing, and David Wise did the music on that. And so many other games, especially rare games, that it was either David Wise or it was Grant Kirkhope or it was Graham Norgate or it was Robin Beanland, just a bunch of different people that made music for these rare games that have stuck with me more than most other things, whether it be video game music or even just like, I don't know, normal traditional music. Just these video game songs stick with me so much more, even with like GoldenEye. 64, that kind of music, of course, Secret Agent Jacob, haha, I bet I like James Bond, so of course I like GoldenEye. But so many of these games with so many of these songs that really cement these games for me, and this is my segue into ukulele. The music is the best part.
Yeah.
And I don't like ukulele, and I'll tell you why. I was expecting Banjo Kazooie, and I got Banjo Tooie.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
And my reasoning behind that is this. In Banjo Kazooie, there is only one time in the game in which you can't get everything in a level on your first trip there. Every single level in a casual playthrough you can 100% with one exception, and that's Freeze Easy Peak and Gobi's Valley. If you go to one first, you can 100% the other if you go to it second, because you need the sprint shoes to race. Well, hey, dude, I can't remember his name right now.
Boggy.
Yeah, Boggy. You need the sprint shoots from Gobi's Valley to race him for the last Jiggy, or you need the fly through the air at Mach 4 and slam your face into something move from Freeze Easy Peak to open up the thing with the snake dude in it in Gobi's Valley. Now, if you're doing the N64, you better go to Freeze Easy Peak first because the snake room has notes in it.
Or no FFM, which is how we do the speedrun.
Right, where you just have all the moves, which is amazing. But Banjo Tooie, the only level that you can do 100% on your first visit is the last level. Literally no other level is completable 100% on your first time there. Sometimes second or third or even fourth trip there. And sometimes it's cool because it requires interconnectivity with other levels. And sometimes it's like, hey, come back when you get a move 5.5 hours from now. And to me, that breaks that pacing. That's why I like Kazooie so much. It feels so much more cohesive. And then ukulele comes along, and like the first level, or it might have been the second level that I was playing through, I did this big long Lost Wood style maze. And I got to the end of it, and I was like, all right, where's my Jiggy equivalent? And it's like, oh, you need to move from level 4. I'm like, but I just did this giant maze. What? This is Banjo Tooie. I don't really. And so it kind of broke my heart because I was expecting Banjo Kazooie, and I just got Tooie 2. And
yep, I agree. I 100% agree. I also would. I'll be the one to say I didn't like that in Kazooie either. I didn't like that you had to get moves from other levels. It felt I feel like even to a younger me, just like a way to kind of make me spend more, like waste my time more.
Yep.
Because now, like, it's not like I can't beat it because there's a skill level thing. Whereas like Mario 64 is like that. Like a lot of the time it's just like you just have to be good, and if you're not good, you don't get the star. Sorry. Whereas Kazooie is like you can be good, but we can also still not give it to you because sorry, you have to go to that level now. Like that is annoying. And it was annoying to me as a kid as well. So the fact that they doubled down or tripled down or quadrupled down, which they did with, Tooie, I was not a fan of that.
Yeah. It's interesting to think about because one of my biggest pet peeves in gaming is backtracking unnecessarily. That shit drives me insane. Now, sometimes it can be done correctly. I think a lot of Metroid games do it correctly. But when it's done wrong, it can just really ruin the pacing of a game. You just hit a wall and you have to turn around and go back, and it just that bothers me a lot. But I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks that.
Yep. Nope, I totally agree.
Now, I do have a big opinion question. If Banjo Kazooie didn't exist and it came out today as a a mascot-based 3D platformer collectathon. Do you think it would succeed today in the way that it did?
No.
23 years ago. No.
No.
Nope.
No. Totally different landscape now.
Yep, I agree.
Different
it's also
gamers.
just like it's also a different like I feel like there was enough around the timing of Banjo Kazooie, especially like Mario 64, that created a fan base that was already geared up to love Banjo Kazooie that just doesn't exist anymore. In much the same way that like look at Fortnite and PUBG, you know, why did those come out at the same time? I feel like, and why did they? I shouldn't say that. I should say why did they succeed at the same time? And I think it's much of the same reason why Mario 64 and Banjo Kazooie succeeded at the same time.
That's fair. Yeah. And
Yeah.
part of me thinks that maybe that's one of the reasons that Yooka-Laylee didn't really do as well as a lot of us expected. Because it like you said, it's a different landscape now. It's a different feel, a different group of people that are like the target audience for what developers are aiming for. And that's
It does
interesting.
look like a lot more companies are getting on the 3D platformer collectathon bandwagon again, though, or like trying to reinvent it. And because there's a lot of games coming out soon too, like there's some PlayStation 5 games that are platformers that just look like they're trying to bring that into the next, like they're trying to bring it up to date. And maybe it'll work. I mean, some games will work, but I don't think it'll ever be as much of a hit as like Banjo Kazooie was at the time. You know, just because
Unless it's something really different. And that's the thing. Like you can't, you know, lightning can't strike twice, you know. It's like you're not going to be like, okay, it's going to be Banjo Kazooie again, because even Banjo Kazooie again couldn't be Banjo Kazooie again. That makes sense. Like I think it needs to be different enough. And that's why I feel like games like Lucky's Tale and stuff were great, but it wasn't going to be Banjo Kazooie again. Banjo Kazooie was Banjo Kazooie already. Lucky's Tale is great. I loved it. But yeah, even a prime example is Hat in Time. What could have that game done any better?
Yeah,
and it was pretty successful.
Yeah,
but it wasn't Banjo Kazooie again.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the thing, is it needs to be different. Like if you want if you want that again, you need something new. And you can make a collectathon new. It's just I don't know how to do it.
Well, I mean,
if I did, I'd make a game. I'd make a video game.
Bowser's Fury exists, and Bowser's Fury is pretty good.
I like
so
it.
I mean, I don't know. That is an option for 3D platformers.
Yeah.
There you go. There's there's something Nintendo's working on.
And it's like it's arguably new. Like Bowser's Fury doesn't feel like a lot of other collectathons.
No,
There's something different.
It feels
about
different. Yeah.
Which I like. I love Bowser's Fury.
That's important.
Like it even feels different from Odyssey. And I think
it does.
It kind of has to do with that, like everything is kind of in the same world. Like there's no loading, there's no moving to different places. It's just like, oh, I want to go over there and get that one. And then you do that.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like it too.
Yeah.
And that's an example of like, just do it different, and maybe people will like it. Don't keep trying to recreate the past. The past happened. You gotta get over it. It's over. You have to let it go, man.
I feel like that's not gonna happen with Banjo though, because they already tried the new thing, and everybody hated it. And so if they did do Banjo again, they'll do old Banjo again. They will do.
They just have to not break it, man. Like it
just needs to be good.
Yeah, they just need I think they need to make the next Banjo, whatever it is, needs to be something new. You know, it can't be like we want to do that again. It needs to and they do that. Like, dude, I wish Viva Pinata did better, man, because that game was phenomenal. I loved Viva Pinata, the music. I know. I really liked that game, but that's an example of like I wish they did something different and did it well. In a way, because that's the way that they're gonna get what they want. It's not making Banjo Kazooie again. It happened already. Gotta let it go, man. It's okay. It's not your fault, Rare. It's not your fault.
I
But
never played Viva
you-
Pinata, but I did hear the music, and the music was great because, of course, it was Grant Kirkhope.
I didn't play Viva Pinata when it first came out, but I played it years later, and I couldn't get into it.
Mhm.
And it's probably because I played it years later. But
Yeah, maybe. I played it when it came out. I liked it.
it was all right. Like I liked the idea of it, but it was so much clunkiness to the menus. Anyway, that's not Banjo, but you know.
Yeah,
Ban-
but
Banjo Pinata. Pinata Banjo. Why don't they just make it like it's like
Kazooie.
it's like Paper Mario but Banjo, and he's a pinata instead of paper, which is kind of made out of paper. So there you go. Hey, Paper Banjo.
yeah,
Let's go.
Paper Banjo.
I'd play it.
It could work.
Yeah. Well, Paper Mario fans need something to be excited about.
I've heard good things about Origami King, although I haven't had a chance to play it yet myself.
I love Origami King. I 100%ed that game, and I'm in the minority. Everyone hated that game, and I understand why. I know why.
I really like it.
Yeah, I like it too. Yeah, it's a good game. But, and the
I
music,
probably like
phenomenal.
it for the same reason that you like it. It's a 3D platformer collectathon.
And I don't.
It's not an RPG.
I don't like turn-based combat. I just don't. So
Yeah,
that the thing that the Mario
me neither.
Paper Mario fans were gonna want from that game, I was not gonna like it for.
Yeah.
So that's it. Like, I'm not really a Paper Mario fan, so I feel like I don't represent that community. But yeah. Anyway,
I think that music is one of the most important parts of the overall gaming experience. And that's kind of strange to say because it's a video game. Shouldn't you care most about the gameplay? But for me, it's music. And that's why I'll hear a song from a game, really like it, and that will get me to play the game. That's why I plan on playing sometime probably the next year. I'm going to probably end up playing Nier Automata because I've heard some of the songs from it, and I hear that it is absolutely... The game is phenomenal, but the music, I want more of that.
yeah, the Nier Automata is a masterpiece. You're gonna love that one. Trying to think of how to phrase this. I think you never it's so dumb. I think when people say there's one thing that would be the most important part of gaming, be a part of a game, because nobody's favorite game is because of one thing. Right?
That's true.
It's because of a culmination of a lot of different things that make up the entire package. Where Banjo Kazooie could still have Grant Kirkhope, but the game could be ass, and the game would be ass. Just because the game had good music, it wasn't the only reason. Tui had great music. People didn't like Tui. The ukulele had amazing music. A lot of people did not like ukulele. But that's the thing where I don't think that's weird at all. I think it just kind of shows that you really got to look at it as a sum of all parts,
Mm-hmm.
And at the very worst, you can judge a game based on its worst part. At the very worst, right? You can do that how you go into your Windows settings and it shows all of your this is how good, this is what we rate your GPU, this is what we rate your CPU, this is what we rate your hard drive, and your hard drive is always an F tier. So they're your computer's an F tier. That's how people that's how people judge games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll look at everything that they can, look for the worst thing, and then say the game is bad because of that one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's so many other things that make it better. So, or not better,
Yeah.
but it make it. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
But that would, but
there, but
no, but that would be the same thing as if we were the game is only good because of the music. It's not. That'd be a dumb argument. But yet it's not a dumb argument to say, this game is bad because the graphics are bad. For some reason, that's not a dumb argument. People do that all the time.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm just saying, I don't think that's dumb at all. I think, when you look at a game that's phenomenal, it's because it has all of these things and it's the sum of all parts. So, yeah.
It's kind of interesting to me. A tiny bit of social commentary, I suppose, is you could do 100 things right, and you could do 100 kind things for someone. But then you do one bad thing, and that's what everyone will remember you for, is that one bad thing rather than the 100 good things. And that is absolutely, I feel, exactly how people tend to be for games, and more than just games, but a lot of things. And it's a shame that that's the case.
Yeah, that's why I think it comes down to also that especially in the age of social media. The thing that gets the most engagement is negative reception to things that are positively received, or the opposite. And so you're psychologically like conditioned to want to have the controversial effect. Like everyone knows that being controversial is like haha memes. That's what people want to hear. But that's why it's like you get your Pavlov bell you sometimes literally get a bell, hit that bell. Am I right, gamers?
Yeah.
Like if you have those opinions,
Yeah.
like 5 things I hated about Origami King, not 5 things I loved about it. That's not going to do as well. And that's just where we live. And I think that's the reason. I think that really does change the narrative of the way not necessarily the way that games are developed, what games are developed, what games are backed, what games have budgets and stuff like that.
That's a good point.
And I think that's something to always think about. Like I think you're totally right, Josh. Yeah. It's
I'm right. That's
you,
that's
dude.
you, dude.
Josh,
That's crazy.
Josh is literally never wrong. Tell me one time that Josh is wrong. You can't do it. You can't do it.
Oh
You can't
God,
do
no,
it.
no, 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 no. Now they're gonna go
No, they can't do it.
scouring my.
No, it's already over. I had like that much time. That you had to be like that much time. Didn't happen. Here's my point. Josh, you're right.
Thank you, Jules. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. He's good at video. He
I
he is good at
am.
video. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
That is a proven fact.
Yeah, I think it all does come back to. I know we're hopping all over the place, but it really does all come back to Banjo Kazooie, because Banjo Kazooie has such a high bar. Like where all of those things land, like graphics for the time, music, and level design. Difficulty, huge. We haven't even talked about the difficulty of Banjo Kazooie versus the difficulty of Tooie. Challenges that feel cheap, or challenges that genuinely feel like, okay, this is something that's within my grasp. You don't do something you're like, well, that's stupid. You're like, oh, that's hard. That's a completely different mindset, and you look at challenges that way. Those are things that were really done well in Kazooie. Again, rewards, like you talked about that too, where you did the thing, you got the jiggy. But in Tooie, you had to meet the president, fucking like go to Florida, I don't know. You had to like do all of this stuff, like go to Egypt, jump on the pyramid, meet Kazooie's dad, and I don't know. And then you get 1 jiggy. You do all of these things, and then you get 1 jiggy. It's like, okay, well, that doesn't feel worth what all that stuff I did,
I think the problem comes from the fact that they do sometimes just give you jiggies, and then the times that they don't, it's like, this took me 4 hours. What the heck?
Right. It kind of like obfuscates the value of what's the monetary value of this thing? I don't understand. Whereas in Kazooie, it does feel pretty consistent.
Yeah. So, yeah. Every challenge feels pretty much more or less like very short and very like you can do it all in one contained motion. And it's not like you have to jump between things and like activate this and then come back later once you get this move. And yeah, Tooie is a little all over the place.
So is ukulele, and that's why I never thought of it that way, Jacob. But yeah, I think it's a very, very, very fair criticism to call ukulele Banjo Tooie 2.
Banjo Tooie 2.
Banjo Tooie 2.
Can you imagine the marketing material for that?
Banjo Tooie 3.
Banjo Tooie 3.
Banjo Tooie 3 4E.
Oh no.
Okay. All right.
And I'd still
This
give
is
it a
how
chance.
we count from now on.
Banjo Tooie 3E 4E 5E.
This is what Common Core math is. I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know this is kind of a little bit of a snapback to Tooie, but yeah, exactly. Stop and swap.
Stop and swap.
Yeah. Back in the N64 days when it didn't work because they weren't allowed to make it work. That bothered me as a kid for the longest time because I grew up on Kazooie, but I didn't play Tooie until many years later. And for the life of me, I could not figure out that ice key. It was always there.
Yeah, man.
And it haunted me because I couldn't have it and I had no idea what it was. And then all those years later, I figured out that it was a thing. And
learning the mysteries of stop and swap years later make it less magical, but also the entire like idea of stop and swap, like if it had been a thing, would have been really, 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 really different.
oh yeah,
would have been the coolest thing that any game was doing at the time. Like that would have been dope.
And if it had worked, what other games would have implemented that to cool effects?
Well, we already know that DK64 was part of that. Was part of stop and swap briefly. There was like going to be a crossover between, I think, Chewie and DK64, or Kazooie and DK64 as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only other one that I know of.
Yeah, I've definitely in my elder years, I'm I'm old, I'm gonna die soon, etc. But I've learned to really appreciate the mystery of it and kind of understand that once the mystery is solved, like obviously it's gonna be like did it haunt you any more than Mew under the truck?
That's a fair point.
Did it haunt you any more than Luigi in Mario 64? Did it haunt you any more?
I didn't know about that one until years later.
Right, it was real. Did it haunt you as much as the Ocarina of Time? Well, okay, maybe this was like I talked about this on my stream once, but there was like this thing going around on like GameFAQs that you had to beat Ocarina of Time without taking any damage twice, and then if you did that, you get this epic Fire Master Sword that nobody can do because you can't beat the game twice and like not take damage. It's just like at that point, like and then if you did, like, how do you know that the pictures weren't just photoshooped, or whatever was available then? Just MS painted some fucking fire on it. You're like, woo, and everyone's like, oh my god, But like that's the thing is like I've definitely come to appreciate that like a mystery is only enjoyable until it's not a mystery anymore. It's like a magic trick is only magic until you know how it's done. Right. And that's kind of where the whole stop and swap thing has been like. That's been more of what it is for me. It's been like now I know what it was, and it's like okay, well it's not as cool anymore. I don't have that drive. I don't need to know. It's like that you have that enjoyment of like I need to know.
And also the imagination of like what it could be is always greater than what it actually is.
Yeah,
it was like, they couldn't implement this feature, so they axed it, and then they kind of covered it up a little bit, but not really.
It's a reason to get up in the morning. You get up every morning, you're like, I wonder if today I'm going to find out. Why is there an ice key? And then they tell you, it's like, life is meaningless.
Get on the dial-up, look up Banjo Tooie information on the dial-up. Try to figure out stop and swap in the meantime.
Oh my god, yeah. Imagine trying to learn anything on like AOL dial-up, Sucks.
With a US robotics modem beeping in the background.
Dude, it takes me 30 minutes to load a titty off of like Napster. No way I'm gonna learn about stop and swap within the week. God.
Just one singular titty.
Yeah. God forbid.
Man, it's gonna be a good time. It's about 30 minutes.
The Banjo Kazooie Rule 34 is like she's kind of turned this way.
Oh, good. We already talked about Banjo Kazooie Rule 34. I get to mark that off the list early.
Oh, no.
Okay, moving on.
No, get that out of it. We don't need that.
That's good.
Oh, he'll kill me for this. Should I say? I should say. You guys remember the time that Grant Kirkhope accidentally tweeted Banjo Kazooie Rule 34?
I do remember that. Yeah.
That was like 2 years ago, I think. Yeah, it was really, really funny because like I guess somebody and it's not really his fault, but like he so I think somebody tweeted at him like, hey, this picture, and like the way that Twitter like cropped it looked like some really cool fan art, but it was like when you click it opened up and it was like Kazooie like asking Banjo if like he could lick between Banjo's toes or something. I can't remember. It was something like really, really bad. And then like it was just one of those like everyone was like, Grant, might wanna delete that one.
Oh my god, I didn't know about that. That's amazing.
Yeah. I texted him, I'm just like, you fucked up.
Oh, that's so good.
It was so funny. Yeah. Grant is wonderful. He's one of the most talented, nicest individuals of all time. But my God, he's the most lovable boomer of all. He's just doing his best out here in the landscape of Twitter and everything, man.
There was one time I
Dude,
was.
the other
I
day,
was...
yeah.
Oh, no, go on.
I was gonna say he tweeted that picture of he had like blood all over his face and he had like the thing up against his nose and stuff. Yeah, so
Oh,
he tweeted he was just like, yeah, I was in line at the deli and somebody punched me right in the face and said that's what you get for writing the DK rap. And that was the whole tweet. And then he like followed up with it and he was just like, nah, I just got nose surgery. Like it's like I didn't actually get punched. But so many people believed it. So many people believed that he got punched for the DK rap. And I texted him then too. I was just like, how did so many people fall for that? And he's just like, I don't know, man. And I'm just like, man,
the visual is amazing.
Because like Grant was like a rock star in the day. You know, he toured. He played guitar. He played trumpet in bands and stuff. Then to go to this world where everybody's talking on Twitter and like it's got to be such a jump for him, you know. So I'm just like I'm just like, man, don't worry, man. This stuff is weird. Like Banjo Kazooie hentai and people believing that you get like all this stuff. Like it's weird, man. Don't worry about it. Don't feel bad. Like. Everybody's retweeted one Banjo Kazooie hentai at least once in their life. It's fine. It's a mistake we've all made.
It's
every Thursday. Yeah. Check out my Twitter, guys.
Anymore, Josh. You're just horny on Maine. That's horny on Maine, bro.
Is it because I'm screaming Banjo's name? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I honestly learned about horny on May. Oh, we shouldn't talk about this. What's next on the list? You brought me on this thing, man.
Let's see here. Next on the list, we've got Banjo buying a house on Main Street and is horny. Okay, so I guess we're good to talk about that.
Yeah, you can knock that one off.
No, actually, the next thing I have written down here, just to like keep my brain nice and not smooth. Why is Banjo Kazooie still loved today as much as it is?
Is he?
Because Banjo's in Smash.
Banjo is in Smash.
That's why.
That's a good
Banjo
answer.
in Smash.
I
mean, Banjo's been wanting to be in, like I mean, people wanted Banjo in Smash for a long time. I mean, that was always he was like always the one. I feel like, you know, like. Who else was people like? Who else did people want in Smash more than that, other than like Ridley?
Juno.
Waluigi.
From Super Mario RPG. That everybody like foams at the mouth over. That and Waluigi. That's all I can think of.
Yeah, and Waluigi. Well, at that point, putting Waluigi in the game would be almost like an insult. At this point, it's just like
that's fair.
At this point, it's a meme. Don't put him in because it's just Yeah, like, because like Ridley was always the one that everyone memed about. So yeah, Gino. I guess Gino. Minecraft Steve, but then they put in Minecraft Steve. But yeah, like Banjo, I felt like was always the one that like made the most sense. And they're like, why don't they put Banjo in? And then you're like, well, it's kind of complicated because it wasn't originally like 100% Nintendo. It was rare, and then it got bought out by Microsoft, and they just don't have the copyright. And it's just it's going to be really, really legally complicated. And then people are like, yeah, but why isn't Banjo in Smash?
And then Phil Spencer's like, yeah, why isn't Banjo in Smash?
Why isn't Banjo?
And then Rare is like, yeah, why isn't Banjo in Smash? And then Nintendo's like, yeah. And it's just like one long, like decade-long fucking realization.
Yeah.
that actually
rippling through.
Yeah, that makes for an interesting segue to the next thing, Banjo being in Smash, and why that kind
Did
of
you hear about that, Josh? Did you hear?
Oh my god, are you serious?
Yeah, dude, it's insane. Dude, get the camera out. I want to get your reaction to this. It could make for a really, really great alert.
But
Banjo and Smash.
This is the ASMR version.
Banjo and Smash. Oh, baby.
This really gets the neurons going. when you hear it.
subvert my expectations.
That's some free serotonin for you guys.
Perfect.
Usually costs money.
It's true.
So Banjo in Smash, yes, Banjo and Smash.
Yes.
That kind of cooperation between major companies isn't really something we see a whole lot of. And the fact that Microsoft is like, yeah, sure, go for it. Or that Square Enix is like, yeah, sure, Cloud and Sephiroth, sure, why not, go for it. I feel like seeing these characters that we grew up with that are owned by different groups and they're actually cooperating there's such potential there to have like global crossplay across consoles, like PlayStation and Microsoft maybe getting along, that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that Banjo's the first to do it and maybe not even the best at it, but I feel like it's one of the prime examples of two giant corporations getting along and willing to work together for things like this. And I think that as I know it was a bit of a meme there, but I feel like that is one of the reasons that Banjo holds popularity to this day, is so many people like it, and there's that kind of, it's in Smash, and Microsoft and Nintendo were willing to work together for that.
Yep.
And I want to see more of that.
Well, I mean, and we don't know specifically how that deal happened,
Right.
like we don't know if that was them cooperating or like what the deal was, like and frankly, I don't want to know, but like, somebody was probably rimmed for it, but like the point being, like we don't specifically know, and like every single situation is going to have to come down to lawyers and contracts and like, who owns the rights to the characters, who owns the rights to all of these things. Like at least with music, like we know that every song has multiple different licenses depending on what you need, what you want to do with it. I guarantee that it's the same thing with video game characters.
Oh, yeah.
Like with IPs and stuff. Like I definitely like wonder, like Smash is almost like, imagine any other game trying to get that to work. I think Smash is the only one that could, because Smash is the biggest.
I agree.
Absolutely.
So it's almost like, you can guarantee that there's going to be like, in some cases maybe stocks will increase, so that would incentivize, somebody to like put a game in Smash if it's given as an opportunity. Or I wonder how many copies of Banjo Kazooie sold after, or like Rare Replay sold right after Banjo got put into Smash. Like that was definitely in talks, like no doubt. So like those are always going to push those are always going to push those conversations, and that's what it comes down to. It like I wish it was as simple as just like hey, let's cooperate. Like, hey, call on the phone. What's up, Miyamoto? How you doing, man? Can we put this character? Oh no, okay, we'll try 2B from Nier Automata next year. Okay, let's try this one. Like, which I really want, but like that's what I think is very important to always remember with this stuff. Like we don't know how that's gonna go.
It's true.
I wonder if they would have even considered something like that 10 years ago. Like even any degree of cooperation, even if there's money changing hands or mountains upon mountains of legal paperwork and stuff. I just wonder if 10 years ago they would have even considered it.
Mountains upon mountains of money would do it. But that's the kind of thing where it's like there's going to be a diminishing return of like how much money is there gonna be worth, making that deal for both parties.
Well, there was also an influx of Banjo merch after Banjo was in Smash too. There's a lot of that stuff coming out over the last year. So that's probably part of it. That was probably part of the idea, the plan going into it. It was like, okay, we'll do this deal with Nintendo, and we'll make a bunch of merch and sell that, and make a bunch of money, and do. So I don't know.
Yeah, and there's also like I'm sure there's studies done too on how long to keep people waiting until you maximize the profit by reinvigorating like a hype for a series like that. Like maybe 2015 was not the right time to do that. You know, maybe they needed like a specific window of time to really like be like, okay, we will make the most money if we release it in 2020 or 2019, whenever it was. I guess it was 2019. Um, I think that's something to consider as well.
That's interesting to think about. A lot of moving parts, a lot of factors that a lot of people don't
Too many,
consider.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, way too many moving parts. Like especially with like when it comes to Nintendo and all these game companies. I mean, like these are people that are represented, and the representatives are represented, and like
Yeah.
all of everything is just super super duper complicated with any company that has to do with individual properties and stuff. So this is stuff that I've been getting into trying to understand. Because like I've been working to try to be a game composer myself, and understanding not only the hoops you got to jump through to release covers of video game music, but also to write your own. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I can't even imagine how many hoops there are to jump through that you don't initially consider until you get like
All of
super
them.
deep in it. Yeah.
All of the hoops.
So I know this one's kind of random, but and I'm gonna start with you, Josh, on this one. But what's your first memory of Banjo that you can remember?
Oh, my first memory. Okay. So, when I got my N64 for Christmas, 1998.
Mhm.
Yeah, 1998. Not my grandmother, my aunt got me a bunch of games to go with it, and they were all Super Nintendo games because she didn't know what the hell was going on with video games at the time. So I had no games to play for my brand new N64. So yeah, we went to the Best Buy, and I remember picking out my new two favorite games, which was Glover and Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Oh no!
And my parents were like, "Yeah, no, you can't have that one. You can't. That one's not for you. Pick another one." And there you go. I picked Banjo, and the rest is history. And I got myself a Banjo plushie there. I saw a bunch of Banjo plushie. That's one of the reasons why I got the game, because there was just like a bin of Banjo plushies. And I was like, oh, I want the plushie and the game. If I can't get Conker, I have to get the plushie too. Anyway, that's my earliest memory of Banjo.
What about you, Jules?
It wasn't a game that I had like the game that came with it was Pilot Wings when I got the N64. Pilot Wings and Mario 64. So Banjo Kazooie would have been a rent, a blockbuster game. Even.
Hell yeah.
So I probably rented Banjo Kazooie, and then probably loved it enough to convince my mom to purchase said Banjo and Kazooie for me. And again, it would have been 1998 when I think I got the Nintendo 64 I think a year after it came out. So that would have been probably 97, 96 or 97.
That sounds right.
And then it would have been a year later probably that I would have gotten my hands on Banjo Kazooie. But I do remember specifically like falling in love instantly with the music at that age, and like going to school and like singing the music and stuff. And
Yeah.
like I remember specifically like the teachers being like, all right, Jules, we're gonna sing the Mary Had a Little Lamb. And I was like, no, bitch, I want to sing
Banjo.
Melon. Let's fucking go. And I punched my teacher in the face, and I started a mosh pit. All those things that you would imagine 9-year-olds listening to.
Oh man,
really good. I mentioned earlier that I played Banjo Kazooie. It was one of my earlier games, but I didn't play Tooie until much later. I actually can't remember much about Banjo Kazooie from my childhood, which to me makes it strange that I still like it as much today as I do. Because I feel like it wasn't really the game that I remembered from my childhood. It was more the music, which that fits for my stuff, I guess. But Tui, I don't think I played Tui until
Dude,
probably
that
2005.
whole thing I said earlier about connecting to the dial-up, looking up Banjo Tooie stuff all the time between the game coming out and Banjo Tooie coming out.
Mhm.
That was a thing I did constantly. I was looking up Banjo Tooie information online all the time. I was ready for that game to come out. I was so excited. Like Banjo Kazooie was just my entire childhood. Like, this is so good, man.
You know,
I love it.
sometimes I think about like the pure happenstance of how we get introduced to games as children. You know, our parents or such are like, "Hey, try this game," and usually you didn't have a whole lot of games because your parents had to be the ones buying them for you, and games were expensive. A great example of that for me is the very first RPG I ever played in my life was Quest 64.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, it's bad. It is. Ooh,
Oh,
it's
boy.
bad.
I apologize.
Yeah, this is pretty bad. And yet, my favorite game of all time now is Final Fantasy VIII, which most people hate, but whatever.
I like that game a lot.
There's a lot to it for why I like it. I wouldn't say it's the best Final Fantasy game at all, but it is my favorite.
Mhm.
A lot of it, of course, big surprise music, but
Mhm.
I wonder if, like, based on the games that we got as children and what games that led us to play later, how different that could have been just based on a whim of what our parents decided to buy us. That's kind of interesting to think about. Like, what if I never played Banjo Kazooie and then I tried to play it as an adult and I didn't like it? I just couldn't get into it or something like that. And how that would have changed
that would
so
be
much.
so sad.
Right? And what if you
Yeah,
could
yeah.
what if you could like wipe your memory of a game and replay it now? What if that had a negative effect and it's like, wow, this game sucks, and you
I think
ruined
it
it.
would.
Yeah.
I think it would have a negative effect for sure.
You were gonna say something, Jules?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's also like the variety of games that were available as a kid. Were so much more limited. I think it was a high chance. It was a higher chance for somebody of our ages growing up to have that game pulled off the shelf than say, any other game now. You know, and it's also a different environment. So I don't know, because I was gonna say, like, you know, there's so many people, and it sounds weird, but like that's going to be Undertale for so many people, like in 10, 15 years from now. Like
That's
that,
true.
like what Banjo Kazooie is for us is going to be what Undertale is for a lot of people. Or
Absolutely.
you know, games like Nier Automata. I think more likely probably something like Call of Duty or Fortnite or something like that. But like I think that's also like kind of a part of it where, I mean, you know, you might be living that parallel universe where like Conker's Bad Fur Day was good. Like you would have Conker's Bad Fur Day merch behind you, Josh, if that
Oh boy, that would have been
yeah.
a different childhood.
It would have been a different childhood, too. But like that's the thing. Like, what if Quest 64 wasn't the first one? And you know, like, it's just, you know, you can think about all of that stuff. But so I think another part of it is so much of the landscape for gamers circled around a select few number of games. Like right now it's very click based, where a big group of people play Apex Legends, and you can be a gamer and never meet any of those people. You could be a Rocket League gamer. Back then it was like, I played Banjo Kazooie. Oh, have you tried Pokemon? Like, oh, like I play Mario. Like, oh, have you tried Pokemon? It's all like it all kind of like circles around that. You know what I mean? Like the same gamers played the same games.
Yeah.
So it's not really the case anymore.
No.
So like I think that we had a very, very specific and interesting childhood growing up with games that could only have existed then. And that's a whole other element of it. Like we've talked about, like, what if Banjo came out today? Like, yeah, no, it'd suck. You get like 4 out of 10 because, you know, like people suck and people are gonna drive that through Twitter and stuff like that. But like,
Right.
When is Banjo coming to Fortnite?
Yeah.
Well, they got Master Chief, so Come on, Microsoft.
Ooh.
It's your move.
Get on it.
Who's that?
Oh, if tomorrow they announce that, I'm gonna shit my pants. So
I'm gonna shit my pants either way.
So something that I like to do with the games in a series, in this case it would be Kazooie, Tooie, and Nuts and Bolts, is give it a rating of we have 4 different levels. The first one is that the game, compared to the series as a whole, is either essential, recommended, optional, or no. Yes, we put a lot of thought into this, as you can see.
No.
And I'm going to start by saying that I think Kazooie, as part of the series, is absolutely essential.
Agreed.
Yes.
But for me, Tooie, I wouldn't be so harsh just to say optional, because there is still a lot there that's good. So I'm going to say recommended. But
No, Nuts and Bolts is highly recommended.
I would go so far as to say this. Kazooie, absolute essential. Tooie, recommended. Nuts and Bolts, optional, but essential for the Nuts and Bolts series. You gotta play that one. You gotta play it.
You gotta play it.
You gotta play it.
If you want to get into the Nuts and Bolts series, you
Yeah.
gotta play that one.
You gotta
That's
play
important.
that one. Essential.
Touche.
Oh my god. I wish there was a Nuts and Bolts series. I'd be down for that.
yeah.
That's what I'm
Not
saying,
gonna
man.
lie. Not gonna lie. I want to build cars forever. That's what I want to do. And
You
planes
know why?
and boats.
You know why Nuts and
Everybody
Bolts
says.
2 doesn't
Everyone.
exist?
What's that?
Capitalism. That's all I'm saying. Go on.
Yeah, I mean you're not wrong.
If
You
it
know,
only
Nuts and
sold
Bolts
2
made-
million more copies, we'd have a
Yeah.
sequel.
would be a thing.
Ukulele's
So
actually
what about
a-
Grunty's time portal?
Who?
game?
What?
Oh, Grunty's Revenge?
Grunty's
What?
Revenge. That's the one.
Who?
I have to admit,
Yeah.
I've never played that.
I have. Wait, Jules, have you
Is that a
played
new
Grunty's?
hentai game? What is that? Grunty's Revenge? What the fuck? What's that from the Neo Geo? Was that a release title on the N Gauge? I ain't never hear that shit.
No. You're thinking of Banjo Pilot. You're thinking of Banjo Pilot.
Ooh, you went deeper. Holy shit. True though.
It doesn't
true.
get any
Banjo
deeper
Pilot.
than that, though. That is
It
that is
doesn't get
as
deeper
deep as
than
it
Banjo
goes.
Pilot. Yeah, that's rock bottom.
Oh, man.
Banjo Kazooie rock bottom. Banjo Pilot.
I hated Banjo Pilot. Oh, it was everything I didn't want. It was just,
I noticed that when you were voting on stuff at the beginning of the stream, that Banjo Pilot wasn't included in that vote.
Yeah.
Why?
yeah, molasses.
And
There were only 5 slots. That's not
No,
fair.
wait.
Oh, I mean, Elias cheated anyway, so.
Banjo Kazooie, Tooie, Nuts and Bolts, Grunty's Revenge, Pilot. There are only.
Smash,
Racing.
Smash, and Diddy Kong
Oh,
Racing.
you put Diddy Kong Racing on there.
And
That's right.
Smash.
Well, Diddy Kong Racing is just better Banjo Pilot.
Agree.
True.
Hard agree.
hard agree. Yeah.
Oh god, I could have a whole
Where does
episode on
Diddy
Diddy
Kong
Kong Racing.
land? I would say essential to understanding the
Oh
basics.
shit!
Especially if we need to answer the question, where is Kazooie? Where is she?
I'm gonna get a
What happened?
game for the Xbox 5921 called Kazooie is Missing.
Kazooie fucking missing. That's
Let's
the
not
name
forget
of the
everybody's
game.
favorite Banjo game, Sonic and Sega All Stars Racing.
Banjo and
Featuring
Kazooie
Banjo
All-Star.
Kazooie. Oh my god. I
Banjo
forgot
and
about that.
Kazooie at the Olympic Games.
Oh no. Ah, don't tempt them. You know they'd do it.
I'd play
Yeah.
it.
I would play it.
Don't tell me you wouldn't play it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'll play it.
What about that demo that they had of Banjo Kazooie on the Kinect? Did you ever see that? Have you ever seen that video of the audience? It was an audience Kinect feature that was like a tech demo, but it was with Banjo Kazooie. Look it up on YouTube. It's fantastic. And the audience was Banjo Kazooie were flying, and the audience had to like do this, like lean back and forth to like activate the Kinect, I guess. And so the audience was playing this game. Yeah, it was weird. It was very strange, and it looked awful. Like it was gross looking, and it was like the nuts and bolts model for Banjo and Kazooie, but then everything else looked awful.
And
that's all it was. Was it like fly? It was like Superman 64 rings flying through. Like that's all it was.
No. Oh.
Anyway, that's my favorite Banjo game.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Lass has made a new poll just for you.
Oh, Banjo redo.
Yep.
Let's see here. What we got?
I dumped
Banjo-Kazooie,
all
Nuts
of
and
all
Bolts
of the points I have in your channel right into Banjo Pilot.
Okay,
No.
okay. Yeah, I voted for Banjo Pilot.
You guys do this to me.
Let's see.
At this point, it's a miracle it's not a 5-way tie. That's what my chat loves to do. I'll be like, hey guys, what do you want to do now? And then everybody just ties it. My chat sucks.
Yeah,
I'm surprised that
same.
you guys don't love Banjo Pilot as much as I do.
Yeah. Imagine
I mean,
not loving Banjo Pilot.
What's wrong with you guys?
Wish I could use some of my points.
Get your wings, bro.
I didn't expect it to be Super Mario Kart with a vertical aspect, okay? Because it's literally what it was, and I hated it. Because I do not like Super Mario Kart at all.
Yeah, Super Mario Kart was the weak one. I mean, it was also the first one, so.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Thanks, chat. Really appreciate that.
Banjo Kazooie Warhammer 40K.
Oh no. And I'd play it. I'd play it in a heartbeat.
I'd play it, yeah.
And I
Okay, but what if they did a version of Banjo Kazooie where instead of building cars, you build like houses and shit, and they called it Banjo Banjo Crafty.
Oh no.
There you go.
I'll buy a server on day one.
Yeah, me too. I'm in it. I want a world building band. Like imagine just like okay, so it's like Minecraft, but also Skyrim, but also Banjo Kazooie, but also Smash, but also Quest 64 mixed with a little bit of what's that game? Fortnite. Yeah, that's
Oh
what
yeah.
Oh.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
No, that's a great combination of games there. Yeah.
yes. So Valheim. Yeah. So Valheim. Exactly.
Like the one feature they took from Quest 64 is the fact that the only way to control the camera is to hit the B button. It swings around behind you. That's it. It's the only way to control it.
The only way to control the game is throw it in the trash. It's the only way you'll get it to cooperate. It will physically go in the trash if you take the game and put it in the garbage. The only way that game will cooperate.
Oh, I feel bad for all the people that are buying it digitally. Had to throw their computer out the window.
We're talking about Quest 64, right?
Maybe. Oh man, I just remember how bad the leveling system was in Quest 64.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me of that. I appreciate that. Yeah, there's something that game doesn't tell you. I know this has nothing to do with Banjo. I don't care. Jules cheated.
Super Banjo RPG.
Dude, I'd play that. But Quest 64, it never tells you this, but your agility stat, which you level up by walking around, levels up at half the rate of normal if you're in a town. The game never tells you that. So if you go into a town and rubber band your controller like everybody does, you level up at half speed, as opposed to if you're actually out in the world walking around. But the game doesn't tell you that. And ever since I learned that, I'm super salty about that game. And I just have really just hate that game.
Yeah.
Not a very good game.
There's a lot to hate there.
Yeah.
I could say things about Glover too, but that's for
Oh boy, we can go on a whole thing. I could go on a whole thing about Glover.
Don't do this to me. Don't.
Glover is amazing. You know it.
Okay, look, let me tell you something. World 1, the bonus, where you have to do like the stupid Frogger bullshit. No.
Dude, flawless.
No.
It's
No. No. That is the worst shit of all time, and I hate it. You know,
Okay,
some of
that's
that
the
game's
worst shit of all
actually
time, I'll
good.
agree.
Okay,
But some of it's good, yeah.
the game has
Bouncing-
clowns in it, okay?
The game does have clowns in it. You would have to be okay with clowns to play that game.
Terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. Glover is not Banjo. Banjo
It's not.
Banjo has a lot
Banjo
of
is
redeeming
Banjo.
qualities. And Glover has very few redeeming qualities. But it does
You
have some.
can't change math. Math is math. You can't change banjo. Banjo is banjo.
Banjo is Banjo.
Well, now that we've talked about clowns in Quest 64 instead of Banjo.
Does Banjo have clowns?
Well, in
Banjo
2E,
is a
there's that
clown.
tent where you fight
Dang it, but
the...
there's no clowns there.
There's not.
Actually, Bottles is a clown. I hate that guy.
You got me there.
He just won't shut up. I'm like, I know how to play the game.
He
He's
won't
like,
shut up.
I want to tell you how to play the game for the 47th goddamn time. I don't need you.
Yeah, seriously.
Like I could just do that furnace skip, and I literally don't need you.
Yeah, that first skip is annoying. The fast way.
You know
That
how
like
Mario
wo-
teaches typing? What if
Dude.
Banjo taught math?
Sex? Oh, math. Yeah. What?
This picture being like a 1980s Richard Simmons workout video type thing. Some VHS. Oh,
Banjo
no.
teaches. It's like that. The Mario teaches sex commercial. That's the one where my that like the like here's my brother Luigi here to give you a heap of hoppers or whatever the fucking light thing that I have. That's from a Mario teaches sex and puberty ad. Where they go in to tell like where the pubic hair grows, and they take Mario's mustache and they like add it to the area, and then they say they say the condom blocks the sperm, and the sperms are little fucking like bees. They're like bees that fly. It's real. It's real. It's real. That's where this emote comes from. That like my chat knows it's real. My chat's like, yeah, that shit's real. My chat's woke. That's where this Luigi's from.
Thanks, I hate it.
And it's the best part of it is honestly none of that. It's the fact that right in the beginning, like the Mario voice, like whoever voiced Mario is like super into it, and he's just like, here's my brother Luigi, and like. But then whoever voiced Luigi didn't give a fuck. He just goes, "Hello, Mario." It's like so funny. It's so funny. So I want that, but Banjo.
Yes. Yes. Amazing.
Oh I didn't know that was a
Time
thing.
to extra ban Jules' chat. Agreed.
Yeah, please, guys. I don't know how
Double
many times
ban.
I can ban every person in my chat, including me. Including me. Just please, I'm just trying to do good in the world, and all the bad is in my chat.
That's okay. I'll take over your channel.
Thank you. Yeah, you
Josh.
can
Family
have it.
Josh.
Family Josh. You already had one of my alerts, which is you.
Yeah. wait,
That's
Jules.
too much.
Before you get banned, you need to record yourself saying "Screaming Banjo and Smash." And then I'll
Banjo
make
and
you-
Smash. Yeah,
yeah.
I'll do that.
No, Banjo and Fortnite. Scream Banjo and Fortnite.
Banjo and Fortnite.
And I'll make that an alert on my
All right,
my
sounds
channel.
good. On my your channel or your
on
my
your channel.
Yeah.
You're my channel.
My brain is oozing out of my ears.
Oh yeah, it's a good thing I got these headphones on. Otherwise, they'd be gone. Oh, thank you, Crystal.
I still can't believe that's real. Oh, God.
Oh, it's real.
How have I not heard of this before? Like I've heard that part from your sub alert before many times, but I had no idea it was a legit thing.
That's a sex thing. Yep.
I can't believe it. I need to go watch that. As soon as I'm done tonight.
Amazing.
That's amazing is one word for it. Yep. Whew.
I mean, when I say amazing, that usually means I have nothing more that I can say about this thing. It's amazing.
Amazing.
It's amazing.
Banjo Kazooie. Amazing.
Banjo Kazooie, amazing.
Banjo Kazooie, amazing. And
That's
you
the
know,
tagline.
when we get to the part where I have to like edit the ass end of this off and fade out, that's where it's going. It's just stopping right there.
And that's all that really can be said about Banjo Kazooie. Amazing. That's the whole podcast.
Yeah, it took us
There you
almost
go.
2 hours to say that, but Banjo Kazooie
Yeah,
is
that's it.
amazing.
Just upload that. The Banjo Kazooie podcast that you guys have all been waiting for with Josh Jepson and FamilyJules. It's just Josh going, Banjo Kazooie.
Banjo's
Amazing. And then I just go,
amazing.
yeah, amazing. That's it. Then it ends right there.
No fade out, no editing, just hard stop.
Hard stop. Dude, YouTube Shorts. That's where it's at right now. That's your YouTube short. Bam.
Hashtag shorts.
Hashtag shorts, publish, let's go. Hit that, smash that bell, hit that subscribe button, grab that jiggy. I don't know.
3 million.
3 mil. Exactly.
3 mil.
On the dot.
Amazing. No, but really though, that's all I got. We hit everything I wanted to hit there, and yeah.
Do you think anyone's ever done hashtag sharts accidentally? Like they actually put an A instead of the O. Hashtag sharts. I'm gonna do that. I want to go to YouTube and see what's on hashtag sharts.
I'm gonna put that as one of the 3 things in this video when it goes up. Hashtag
Hashtag
sharks.
shorts.
Yep.
Shart Week is better than Shark Week.
Shark Week. Oh God.
That's
For one whole week straight.
Yeah. Someone just did a big watery shart, 654,000 views on a channel that has 14,000 subscribers. So very big, very, very big viewer opportunity. Those YouTubers out there trying to hit it big, just pop in one of those sharts in your title. And
Oh my god.
Howcast has a video called "How to Handle a Shart" with 3.8 million views. 73% upvote. So apparently people did not agree that this is how one should handle a shart. Anyway.
Why?
I'm out here for education. Sometimes education gets a little bit, one might say, sharty. And that's just how it is. My goal on the internet is to be the dad that just takes everything a little bit too far, but we all learn something. Maybe nothing useful, but something.
Oh, I definitely learned something.
I didn't.
What have you learned, Josh?
I learned that when I shart, I can find out how to deal with that
Yeah.
on the internet.
Yes.
Pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Hashtag
very
shart.
fast.
Yeah, just with a
Yeah.
hashtag. One quick hashtag and you're in. And you're out.
I don't know what I would do without that hashtag. To be
I know.
honest.
You wouldn't handle it.
No, I would be caught in
I would
up
caught with
Shit's
pants
Creek
down.
without a paddle.
Yeah, up Shark Creek.
Up Shark Creek without a paddle.
Oh my god, amazing.
God.
Anyway,
Yeah, so that
Anyway.
happened. So we're really, really bad at outros here. Extraordinarily bad.
what did I say at the very beginning of This is how you break that cycle. This outro is the best outro.
This outro is amazing.
I have to have a clap for synchronization purposes.
Cut it. Cut the stream. This outro is amazing.